Angola's economy, like any other economy, can best be analysed and understood by looking at the country's economic indicators. Let's begin with a breakdown of Angola's gross domestic product, its GDP, its national output. Angola's economy generated $72.5 billion in 2021 according to the World Bank. This makes Angola the 74th largest economy in the world. It comes just after Ghana and just above Cote d'Ivoire. The country, with a population of 30 million people, has a GDP per capita or a GDP per head of $2,137,000. By this measure, it is ranked 166th in the world. This puts it just below the Democratic Republic of Congo at 165th, but above both Nigeria and Ghana, who are 168th and 169th in the world respectively. Much of Angola's economic output or income comes from the country's oil and gas sector, which accounts for 50% of its GDP, 70% of government revenue, and over 90% of exports. This year, Angola, a member of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries or OPEC, became Africa's largest oil producer, taking over from Nigeria. It produces about 1.16 million barrels of oil every day. This has given the country an economic boost in this season of relatively high oil prices. As a result, Angola is expected to record a budget surplus that should be around 1.6% of its GDP in 2022. Its debt to GDP ratio is expected to fall to 78.9%, and the value of its exports is expected to exceed the value of its imports this year. The Africa Development Bank expects that the country's economy will grow at 2.9% in 2022. This is an improvement from the 2021 figure of 0.8%. After being in recession from 2015 to 2020, this is a good turnaround. Agriculture is a significant contributor to Angola's economy. It accounts for 10% of the country's GDP and employs over half of its people. Angola used to be a major exporter of agricultural products like coffee and maize, but this industry was decimated by the country's civil war, which lasted from 1975 to 2002. Nevertheless, Angola remains rich in agricultural potential. Currently, only 10% of its 35 million hectares of arable land are cultivated. However, it isn't doing too badly where agriculture is concerned. It is the 7th largest producer of banana in the world, the 9th largest producer of cassava, and the 10th largest producer of sweet potato. Angola also has a thriving mining sector. It is one of the top 10 diamond producers in the world, and the precious stone contributes 5% to the country's exports. This year, the country's mines turned out the largest pink diamond seen in around 300 years. The 170-carat gem has since been named the Lulo Rose. These developments have had a positive impact on the country's currency, the kwanza. It's up 13.47% against the dollar this year so far, and up 22.23% since November last year. It is one of the best performing currencies in the world. The strong performance of its currency has shielded it from the surging inflation reported by so many countries. Its inflation rate has fallen from 27.7% in January this year to just below 20% in August. In the short to medium term, the World Bank expects Angola's economy to grow at around 3% every year. This will be powered by improvements in the country's non-oil sector, which is expected to compensate for the structural decline in oil production. Climate change is a key concern of the country's government, as its economy is vulnerable to droughts, the rise in sea levels, and flooding. Last year, at the UN General Meetings, Angola's President, João Lourenço, asked the world to do more in the fight against climate change. In spite of this, Angola's economy continues to grow from strength to strength. With continued successes in the transformation of the country's economic model into a sustainable and inclusive economy powered by private sector growth, Angola could rise from its position as Africa's 6th largest economy to take on the continent's giants, Nigeria and South Africa. Damilola Ade-Odiachi, News Central TV.